A federal judge struck down part of Utah's polygamy law. The stars of the TLC reality show Sister Wives filed that lawsuit. Cody Brown and his 4 wives have 17 children together. The ruling threw out the part of the law that bans living with multiple partners. Judge said it violates religious freedom. Ruling, though, still outlaws bigamy, meaning only marriage between 2 people will be legally recognized. With us now to discuss this ruling is Mark Henkel. He's a national polygamy advocate and joins us live via Skype from Maine. Thanks for being with us today. So I know obviously you're excited about this news, but what is the hope here? Do you think this will actually clear the way to formally allow polygamy?
Well, what this has done, it has established freedom for unrelated consenting adult polygamists who do not have multiple marriage licenses. Effectively, what it has done is stripped the Utah tool of tyranny to criminalize unrelated consenting adult polygamists merely for cohabiting or purporting to be married, even though they do not have additional marriage licenses.
Right, but I mean, long term here, I mean, what do you think is going to happen? Do you think that we could see nationally laws allowing polygamy?
Well, as the architect of this decriminalization position since the 90s, this is what we have called for. We have the polygamy rights win-win solution to end the marriage debate once and for all, which is to abolish all marriage control for unrelated consenting adults, whether for OMA, one man, one woman, or for SSM, same-sex marriage, or for UCAP, unrelated consenting adult polygamy. The reality is this decision has gone down the decriminalization position and said that marriage can only be based on the marriage license, and therefore Utah cannot criminalize polygamists who do not have multiple marriage licenses.
And that that's a good point, because you're right. The states cannot issue more than one marriage license, but they also won't crack down on married people who live with unmarried spouses. But I want to ask you also, how much do you think the fight over gay marriage, frankly, influenced this ruling?
Well, it did utilize the Lawrence v. Texas decision that government doesn't have the right to intrude on the privacy of consenting adults. And from that standpoint, the previous anti-polygamy law, prior to striking down the cohabitation prong and limiting the purported prong to only marriage licenses, prior to that, Utah had the ability to prosecute and criminalize polygamists just for purporting or cohabiting. And so by removing that, it allows freedom for anyone who is simply purporting or cohabiting, and that can become something that can be established state by state around the country, and eventually freedom. So there is a relationship, I suppose, to the Lawrence v. Texas decision, which was used in the decision, but it also uses the limited government perspective by saying that government can only define marriage as marriage licenses, thereby polygamists that are not having multiple marriage licenses, therefore, are not being criminalized, and that's freedom.
So, Mark, what do you make of the criticism of this? Obviously, it brings up from people who say this is, frankly, a slippery slope, free exercise run amok, that this could maybe encourage laws that might, in the future, possibly allow things like incest marriage with consenting adults.
Well, the irony of this is that the true slippery slope is that anti-polygamy is the real slippery slope that led to same-sex marriage. That if government was not involved in the redefining, licensing, and controlling of the contractual arrangements of consenting adults choosing marriage anyway, then those pursuing same-sex marriage never would have had a reason to pursue that in the first place. The reality, and that's why we pursue the polygamy rights win-win solution that allows on the left to have equality for all, allows on the right to have limited government, and that is abolish all marriage control for unrelated consenting adults. And if people want to choose same-sex marriage, that's their freedom. If people want to believe in one man, one woman, that's their freedom. But it is a freedom of choice for unrelated consenting adults. And that's why, as the National Polygamy Rights Movement for Consenting Adults, we have been promoting that as the solution to end the marriage debate. And that is get government out of big government marriage control for unrelated consenting adults. Then it doesn't have to worry about the idea of slippery slopes to incest, doesn't have to worry about the idea of animals. We're talking about unrelated consenting adults.
Okay, it is certainly an interesting ruling. We'll see what develops out of it. Mark Henkel, a national polygamy advocate, thank you for your time tonight.